Okay, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the series from MPI Learning called Giving Feedback. And I'm delighted to reintroduce Vince Coombs, one of our most experienced principal consultants, and the guy who's been sharing his knowledge with us in this series so far. So what are we covering today, Vince?
We're looking today, Jerry, at getting yourself mentally prepared to actually give that feedback. We're not quite going to give examples yet, but we're going to make sure that we've got some ticks in boxes. We know, right, it's a bit of a checklist set that says, okay, here's how the land should lie before you do this. And you've got control of this. So it's about getting control of the situation before you get stuck in.
Okay, very good. So how do you want to start? What do you want to share with us?
Yeah, let's look at some core principles, really, that really apply pretty much all the time. But they are only principles because we're dealing with human beings and everyone's a bit different. We need to acknowledge the differences, etc. But there are certain fundamentals that really shouldn't change. Mm-hmm. They're there all the time. So in my head, you need to start off being clear about what is it you're trying to achieve, what are your expectations, what are your objectives. Be clear about that. I believe that the best way to make sure that is clear is to write it down. That's what people go, oh, I need to write it down. I know what it is in my head. Okay, well, if it's clear and write it in your head, just write it down anyway. And it's amazing how often you just struggle with that exact word and you realize actually that you're not quite as clear as you could be. And writing it down is a good thing for clarity purpose. The clearer you are, the clearer your message is going to be. So that's where I'd start, I suppose. In terms of knowing when you're going to give feedback, spotting the opportunity as a principle. One of my favorite little acronyms is MBWA, which stands for Management by Walking About. You need to spot what people are doing. You need to know what's happening. If you can base your feedback on first-hand evidence, that's the best. Mm-hmm. So get out off your backside, walk around your offices, talk to the people, see what's going on, notice stuff, be there. There's two things. It gives you opportunities to collect first-hand evidence, and also there's just chance for them to know you're there. And, that's being appreciated. The objective of MBWA is that it should be about preventing issues rather than resolving problems. Yes. So feedback is spotting the potential. Here's something I noticed. This could become a problem. Let's nip it in the bud. Mm. That's when the best feedback's given. Because if you miss that and miss the next one, and then it's got a bit out of hand, and now it's not making a lot of noise, so someone brings it to you. Now it's almost a problem where feedback is less impactful. It's gone a bit beyond that. Someone's got to put a proper band-aid on it now. Mm. Yeah. So that's where we're at. So we're out there. We are noticing what's going on, but we're not looking for problems, and we're not looking for great stuff. We're just noticing stuff and going, I can give some feedback on that. Give some feedback on that. I've not talked to them for a couple of weeks, so let me just stand back and listen in for a while, or have a chat and a little conversation and ask a few probing questions. So okay, that's interesting. You've taken an approach there that I didn't expect. Talk to me about that. I can have a discussion and create a subject, some feedback. So overall, if you do that, if you get out there and you're nipping things in the bud, catching things early, hopefully, then using a coaching approach works really, really well. And when I say a coaching approach in my head, that means it's more ask than tell. Yeah, very important. Yeah, it's getting them to engage because this is their feedback for their development. It's not you smacking them on the wrist. Now, occasionally we might smack them on the wrist, but even that can be done in a more subtle way where they go, I got that one wrong, didn't I, boss? Sort of thing.
Fair cop
Yeah.
situation.
Hands up. Yeah. Okay. So what skills do you need to do this one? This coaching approach. Coaching approach is about asking questions. And it's about asking questions predominantly that are going to be open questions, by which we mean that they're going to get them talking. You're going to need the odd closed question whereby the answer is yes or no, just to check a few things. But mostly you want them to do the talking. In my world, if I was critiquing coaching technique, I would be looking for the other person to be doing 80%, 75, 80% of the talking. But as a coach, I'm doing less than 20% of the talking.
Yeah.
Sometimes even less than that.
And why would you do that? What's the benefit of that?
Because this is about them understanding what's going on, and it's about me understanding what's in their head.
Yeah.
I can't position my language and my feedback properly if I don't really understand how they perceive it, how they judge what they've done, what they've noticed about what they've done. This person might have done something I've gone, that can't happen again. But they might have just perceived it entirely differently because they haven't noticed that customer's expression, or they haven't realized that we'd changed a rule last month and we've forgotten about it. So I need to find out where they're at. I don't want to tell them that. I like them to go, they want to own it.
Yeah.
That's it. Their feedback, not my feedback. Which means this: if they're going to be talking for 80% of the time, and it might be only a 3, 4, 5 minute conversation.
Yeah.
If they're talking 80% of the time, you've got to be a flipping good listener.
Yes.
Proper listening, which doesn't mean you've just stopped talking for a while.
No.
It means you're actually proper listening. This is a skill that's never taught in schools, and I believe should be. It is a skill, because what most of us have a tendency to do is have an internal dialogue. And as soon as we've got asking ourselves questions and think, oh, that's interesting, didn't realize you did that. As soon as you've done that inside, for that moment, you stop listening. Because your attention can either be outside or inside. So it has to be outside. So just let it flow, let it talk. But my top tip would be to be repeating what they are saying inside your own head.
And maybe actually playing it back to them occasionally.
Yeah, actually check. So what you're and when you play it back to them. Some people like to paraphrase.
Yeah.
Are you saying this?
Yeah.
Or some people might say, so when you say this, and this, which are their exact words, are you really referring to something like that we've done before? So you're capturing a principle or an understanding. We're standing in the same place. Mutual
agreement on meaning.
Yeah, we're both looking in the same direction. It's not me thinking it's dark over there and you're going, no, it's not, it's light over there. That sort of stuff.
Yeah. Crucial.
This requires, especially for some people, this requires you to be patient and calm and engaged, in rapport.
Empathetic.
Yeah. Empathetic, not sympathetic, which I think is an important distinction. It's just if someone's done something really valuable and you're about to give feedback on it, it still needs to be empathetic, based upon fact, logical, structured. It's not just well done.
Yeah.
It's more than that. Well done's great. But
sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and I think there's a principle that would have come from the beginning of the process, way before this, that they are orientated to this actual methodology as part of the way of working, and they're open to being involved in feedback as a positive, well-intended, career helping, supporting, developing reason for doing it. So they're not going to be going, who do you think you are giving me feedback? And I suppose there are occasionally people who can't themselves demonstrate patience and engage with the process and say, oh, why don't you just tell me what you want me to do? And I guess maybe we'll come to that later.
Yeah, because that person might just want to get it over and done with. Yeah, which means they probably ain't listening. Yeah.
And they might not be in the right frame of mind.
Exactly. See, one of the things about behavior, and what we're trying to do here is get someone to do something a little differently, or to repeat a really good behavior. So we need to make sure we've got the right one. Now, all of our behaviors we are through choice, because even if we don't like doing it, we've still chosen to do it, even if I resent doing it. There's still a decision I've made, because I could decide not to do it.
Yeah.
I know the boss wants me to do it, but sod him. Yeah, that's still a choice you've made.
Or now, I don't feel confident to do it.
That's another option. Could be confidence, could be lack of skill, could be, there's lots of reasons.
I haven't done it for a while.
Yeah. But that's held in our belief system. What do I believe about this task? I believe that I can do this. I believe I can't. I believe it's right. I believe it's wrong. I believe it's difficult. I believe it's easy. So the beliefs that I hold drive my behavioral decisions. And therefore, as a coach giving feedback, I need to be aware that if I'm getting resistance, it's almost certainly because they believe something is getting in the way. And I sometimes need to go a little more sophisticated than just great job to find out what belief they're bringing in here. Because until we change a belief, they won't change the behavior.
Agreed.
Cool. So by getting a belief, and sometimes people, there's a lot of people who don't understand what their beliefs are. A lot of people are afraid to get involved with them, which is why we need to start going back to what we talked today, which is let's make sure we've listened, understood, so we can actually empathize, connect with them, and go, this is not about beating you up. This is not about scoring points. This is about sharing common territory, moving forward, getting you to win so that we all win. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So there we go. Small thing that I think is worth mentioning is that if someone's you're doing your MBWA, you're managing by walking about, you spot something doing something good, what you could say is, great job, Jack. And Jack thinks, oh, great job. Now, does Jack really know what exactly it was you spotted that you appreciated? Because you didn't tell him what it was.
No.
He might think the way he did something X was what it, but it could be something entirely different. So, and also doing it publicly and instantly means that if I come at an MBWA and say, come and have a word with me, you've now separated your feedback, response to something good and your response to something not so good by going public, private. Bad differentiation. Because it means that as soon as I say, can you come have a word with me, they know it's a bit of a telling off. And their colleagues and mates also know that. So my recommendation is all feedback. Every time you're going to sit down and give someone a bit of feedback that's valuable, just come over with me. And then they can choose how much of that story they tell their friends. Their friends or their colleagues won't know what's been said, and they can choose how much of that to share. And therefore, we don't know, because they might go, okay. But some people get really embarrassed when they get public praise. I worked with a man years ago. A long time ago. Talented guy, lovely bloke. Actually was in the sales environment, came top. Monthly meeting, award ceremony type thing, got a bit of a prize. And Brian wasn't there. And the reason Brian wasn't there was Brian hated standing up in front of people receiving accolades. Hated it. And so he just didn't turn up. So don't assume everyone's like, sometimes if you love the old light shining on you, it doesn't mean everyone loves the light shining on you. Really. Cool. So let's look about process. So now we've got this issue about our mindset. We know what we're after trying to do. We've spotted something. I'm now going to engage with them. We need a structure, because If you ad lib it every time, it's like anything. If you try, it's like trying to hit a golf ball. If you hold the club differently every time and stand differently every time, you're never going to get good at it. You've got to hold it exactly the same way and get good at doing it that way. Sometimes it doesn't even matter which way you do it, as long as it's the same every time, because you can get good at it.
Yes.
So here's a process. It isn't the only process, but it's a structure. It's been proven to work. I've been using it for years and years and years. And it covers, it ticks in most boxes most of the time. Bearing in mind, sometimes it ain't going to work. But I've not discovered one that works every single time anyway.
I'm all agog. What is it?
So it might sound a bit like an opera. It's an acronym, AIDA, AIDA, but we're not going to sing it, which you'll be glad to know.
Thank you.
So the first A is about action. So what we're going to do on the first stage is describe the action to which the feedback applies. What have you been doing that I've noticed? You did this, said this, pushed that button. Here's the sequence. You did this, A, B, C, D. Here's what you did. Can we agree that that is what you did? Because that's the subject of the feedback. So there's no misunderstanding between me and the recipient about what we're talking about here. I put a boundary around it and I've described it and I said, so that's what you said. That's what they reacted. Do you agree that's what happened? Yes. Good. So then you've done something, which is great. So now I need to explore what's the impact of that action. What occurred because you did that? What's the customer feeling now? What do they believe now? What do I feel about this now I've noticed it? How are you feeling about the reaction you got from the customer? What are your colleagues going to be thinking if they noticed and overheard it, etc.? So let's explore the impact of that action. Oh, let me go big deal. Let's be clear about it, though. So your customer might be thinking, your customer's not very happy now. So what caused him to be unhappy? Let's explore it. You might need to explore this a bit, but the idea is to explore the impact. Have a little bit of a conversation without prejudging, bearing in mind that one thing that you maybe didn't or not able to get when you noticed this happening is intent. So maybe your worker's intent is hidden to you. You need to expose the intent. When you said that, what were you trying to do?
Yeah.
What was your thought behind it? Okay, what actually happened? Because they could be different there. So that's so a little bit of time is spent on that. Then we're going to, so we've agreed that, we've said, right, that's what you did, that's the impact it had. If you're going to do it again, what do we need to do? That's the D.
Right.
Now, if it was a good thing, what you did was best practice, and the client is happy as a sandman, what we need to do is repeat it exactly. So it's just dead simple. So just do it exactly again. In fact, maybe there's a stretch here. Can I put in a refinement? Can I put in a sophistication? That makes it even better than that.
Yeah.
But we're building on a strength now.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got action. That's what you did. Impact. The impact of what you did. This is what you do next time. We agree that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave them thinking about what they're doing.
Right.
Because that's you're reading some books. That's an acronym, AID. What I find works better is going on to the next, which is advantage. What advantage of that behavior? What's the advantage of doing that? So you've done this. That was the impact. We've decided on a new behavior set. If you do that, what advantage does it give you?
Yeah.
Where it stops the negative impacts here and it grows things over there, which means when we part company, their final thought is usually about why I'm going to do it differently, not what I'm going to do.
And how it benefits me, and in what way. Yeah.
So the advantage is that advantage to them personally, advantage to the customer, advantage to their teammates, advantage to me as manager, advantage to the company. let's explore and express and agree the advantages. Because now they should be feeling, if it's all a positive conversation, they should be feeling pretty cock-a-hoot.
Yeah.
If they've got something wrong in the first place, I've taken their attention from, okay, you got something, you did something that didn't work. You've got a new plan of action, and you know why you're going to do it. So if there's a bit of effort involved, and usually change involves effort, you've got some energy to drive through the effort to put the new action in place.
Yes, I like it. Aida.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So then, having gone through those 4 stages, you just say, let's just. I personally will go, okay, so just talk me through what you're going to do, and I get them to talk it back to me.
So why would you do that?
Because that means that because I know, because they sort of own it then.
Yeah.
I know they've got it. I know they've not been misheard. I know they've not been switched off thinking about tomorrow's football match. I know they've actually taken it on board, and it gives me the chance to tweak or modify if they've not quite got it right.
And it also demonstrates understanding.
Yeah.
And the one person that needs to understand is the doer.
Absolutely. So now I can have confidence that says, you're going to go away. I know what you're meant to do. You know what you're meant to do. You know that I know, which is often sometimes important as well. And I might even go as far as saying, when you've done it, let me know.
Perfect.
Might do. Might not always do that.
No. Why not?
Because it feels like Big Brother sometimes.
Okay. Bit of trust.
Yeah, a bit of trust. I'm sure it'll be great. Now, what people report back is when you don't, if it's been done well with some people, not everybody, they will come and tell you what they've done when they've done it, unbidden. Especially
if it's gone well.
Yes.
Can't wait to tell you.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. Can I have some feedback, please?
Yeah. Can I just tell you what's just happened?
Yeah.
It works.
Absolutely.
It's a great feeling as well for everyone involved when that happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, you can see the opportunity to give a bit of praise, which is not a bad thing. Ask a question. So here's my stretch for you. Can you find a way to make it even slicker than that?
Yeah.
And would you mind talking about it at our next monthly meeting?
Yeah. And also to correct any kind of performance discrepancy, error, or fault that was either consciously or unconsciously getting into the way that they do things. So that correction improves performance, and that everybody feels good when that's happening. Builds confidence.
Yeah. So there we have a structure.
Yeah.
And it'll feel a bit clunky at first. But the great thing about structures is that if you repeat it numerous times, it seems to get it embeds.
Exactly.
And it probably takes 3 to 5 iterations for it to click into place.
Yeah.
So usually your ability to give feedback, whatever you've been doing in the past, your ability to give feedback probably goes down a little bit the first 1 or 2 times, then picks up, and by the time you get to number 5, you're better, and you keep on getting better. Usually it's a tool. Okay.
Really good. A gift.
Yeah.
No less.
That's it. So it's part of this of then staying in rapport, being flexible, noticing their reaction, and accepting the fact that sometimes you'll give it your absolute best shot and it won't quite land right. But then again, if we were perfect, we'd be, we wouldn't be in the position we're in, would we?
Bit of bravery involved. Keep trying.
Yeah.
Keep working at it. And that in itself hones the skill. And both parties get used to it, don't they?
It becomes part of the culture.
It does, and it becomes something that you perhaps look forward to and actually enjoy, because you know it's going to bring about improvement. And that was that cultural thing I was sort of referring to earlier, where people are open to it. They understand that this is going to happen, and I'm ready to it. I'm ready for it. In fact, bring it on. Help me.
So things that add sort of variables to think at the end is having been through the process and finished it for them. So let's take an example. So you've now noticed this was something that wasn't quite right. An amendment needed making. Maybe they need a bit of learning, or maybe you've set something up where they can go and sit next to someone highly experienced so they can learn off them. But something's been set up because it wasn't quite right. There's a danger that some people feel a bit aggrieved. Now, it's not always, but some people do. And then your job as the giver of feedback is to notice their response to your feedback. Because some people are uncomfortable, they feel embarrassed by it. Some people, strangely enough, seem to get dismissive about positive feedback. You're saying I'm doing a good job, I know. Yeah. Because they have what's called a strong internal frame of reference. They're able to look at their own performance and go, I'm doing a bloody good job here. I don't need telling. So you need to be aware of who have I got? How do I? Because then now I can refine it. Now I can start going, I've got a tool in my hand here. I've got a four-letter framework to hang it on. But the way I do it to Jack for a good thing is not quite the way I do it to Jill, because she's got different needs. So your learning process is, how do I use this simple 4-step feedback tool to make sure it's absolutely giving my team, each individual team member, the best they need. And don't be surprised how varied reactions are.
Yeah, but I think if you work on the relationship with your team, those people that you're going to be giving feedback to, if the relationship is strong, and part of that is born out of regular feedback both ways, it becomes part of the culture, it becomes part of the expectation, and you can therefore potentially avoid those sort of prickly responses through the quality of the relationships with people.
Absolutely.
That we
think, so going almost like right back to the beginning of this today's session, it's going back to this intent. What's the purpose of feedback? The purpose of feedback is to move people forward.
Yeah.
So your intent is to help.
Yes.
Now, sometimes it feels uncomfortable being helped, but that's the intent.
Yes.
It's just like when a doctor, resets your broken wrist. It hurts, but the intent's right. Well.
Very good. Very good. So anything else to add?
I think the next thing to look at is to look at giving a couple of examples, working through a couple of scripts, talking about why certain words were chosen, what certain words to avoid, how people might react, how you might need to modify your approach depending upon reaction you're getting, and how you need to sometimes loop when you get blocked. If you've got a block at the do stage, in terms of change, how to specifically look at modifying someone's underlying belief. Yeah. Until we change that bit, we can't change behavior.
Yes. Knowing where you are and when to modify or have options.
Yeah. I mean, it moves from being a feedback towards coaching, sometimes almost on the edge of counseling. Don't get involved with counseling unless you're qualified for counseling. But the whole objective is to get performance right and keep HR out of it because it's not necessary.
No.
Yeah. I'm sorry, HR department, but there are other things you're good at. We'll leave you till later.
I couldn't possibly comment. So we've got a fourth module coming up, which we'll get to. In the meantime, thank you ever so much once again for sharing your wisdom, skill, and knowledge with us in this series. You can find it on the MPI Learning website in the Learning Lounge section, along with the previous video modules that we've created. And we look forward to engaging with you again if you choose to seek out a little bit more information from us when we do the next one in the next week or so. So thanks again, Vince. And that's it for today.
Cheers, Jay.
Cheers. Thank you.